So this is a machine called your stapler. As per the machine is running over here also on the back end. You can see over here. So in this machine stapler, there are many ways to exploit this machine. So let's see the Apache OSCP VMs. And over here we can see we were doing the beginner levels, as we have done 1, 2, 3, 4. And today we are trying stapler, and we're going to try the fisty leaf also. Let's try this one, but we're going to try one by one. So I'm going to use stapler right now. So we can see the IP address 109, and over here we have an interface of this machine, which is 192.168.0.109 machine. So I use NetDiscover. I will use the NetDiscover to identify the number of IP address in my network. So I can see the first one, which is 192.109. And over here, what we're gonna do before we are simply scan, we have to take the scanning part. So I'm gonna use nmap -a -t4 and the IP address. But in the real life scenario, whatever the things you are copying over here or doing over here, you have to make an output, because as a presentation, we need that presentation for the clients also. So we're going to do the nmap part side by side. So we have 404, not error. 404, page not found. So if you look over here, 404, error not found, page not found, you can say. There's a lot of things. So it means on that specific domain, or you can see the web page, showing us the request resources was not found on the server because on the server side. And we are doing a simple nmap, but in the side by side, I'm going to do the nicto part also. So I'm going to use nicto -109. Through the nicto, we're going to identify the misconfiguration files on the server side, or some hidden directories, you can say. Hidden directories. So the more things we can see that they have found some files over here. So what are these files? These are files are .bashrc. User home directory was found with the shell rc file, which may reveal file and path information. Profile user home directory with the shell profile was found, may reveal directory information and systems configurations. That's okay. .bashrc is the new shell, and .profile is basically each and every user has a profile separation. For example, if I see on my local machine, so I can see that I have .bashrc file and a bash profile file here. If I talk about the .bashrc file, what is the .bashrc? .bashrc. So a .bashrc file is where a new system has been added. Bashrc is a bash configuration file located in your home directory. It is a hidden file. You can open this file, any text editor, Linux, we can get it. What is bashrc file? Bashrc file are a shell script that contains the shell commands. These files are executed in a user context when a new shell opens, or when a user logs, so that their environment is set correctly. Bash profile is executed for login shell, and bashrc is executed for interactive login sessions. So it means .bashrc file is basically when we log into our server, it will create a new shell. So it means you can say a login shell, a session which is maintained by the user. So we have .profile file also. What is a .profile file on the server side? .profile in the Unix, yeah, we can see Unix or Linux are the same things. So if you see over here, a profile file is a startup file of a Unix user, like auto execution .bat file of those. To achieve this Unix, at the end of the login process, the operating system execute file at the user level. If present, this file is called profile file. So where is it? It will be on your same etc profile. It maintains system administrator of the Unix machine. So why we are looking these things? Because in the nicto part, if you see over here that it reveals two files over here. So if you simply copy this one, and if you simply put it over here, you will see something like this. The file has been the file was on the server side. So let's open this file, and in this file we can see the bash execution file. And if it's not running interactively, do not do anything. So it's a case -i, return address, do not put duplicate lines. So it's just login characters of your architecture. You can say they are using xterm color for maintenance. This is a small file over there. If I say elapsed information, you may want to put all of the additions separate. So there is nothing much more than a simple environment value. And if you look for the profile file, dot profile, you will see there's only a home directory user path type, user bin path. So the most important part over here is when you have done the nmap part, you will see that we have files like port 22, which was closed over there, the port 21, which is also open over there, which is an FTP, but the FTP has a specific version, TFTPD 2.0.8, and over here, if you see the content, extra content value, which I use -a for more advanced scan, I can see that over there, it is saying anonymous FTP login is allowed. So, why it's showing us anonymous FTP login is allowed? Because there is no password has been set by the system administrator on the specific protocol. So anonymous FTP is called anonymous because you don't need to identify yourself before accessing the files. In generally, you are enter the word anonymous or FTP when the host prompts to a user. You can enter anything for the password, such as your email address, and simply the word guest. So it means there is no username and password set on the server side. So what I'm going to do, first of all, we have lots of things over here, so we're going to delete this one. Okay, what I delete the home directory also. Sorry. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to delete this one. So why I deleted this one? Let me show you one. I'm going to connect. I'm going to connect with that specific server with the help of FTP protocol, a utility of your FTP. So I'm going to use FTP 192.168.0.9. Is it 9? Yes, is it 9? And specify the port number. You can see over here through the FTP protocol. We can connect with that server with the port 21. So over here, I'm going to use, as per the data, I'm going to use the word anonymous to connect. And you can see 331. Please specify the password. So I'm going to use anything. And you can see using binary mode to transfer files. See, if I do ls, I can see ls file again. LSF and all, I can check the files on the server side, and there is a file called note. And over here we have a root user has a read and write permission, sudo user has a read permission, and the local sticky keys has a read permission over there. before the FTP server, you can put question mark over there. So what is the use of this question mark? An FTP server, you can simply see the number of commands which is available for your site. These are the commands which is available for us. dir, disconnect, exit, from, append, binary. And binary mode is basically used to simply transfer any file on the server side. If you simply use binary, switching to binary, it's saying 200. So in the binary mode, if you enable the binary mode, you can simply transfer any of the files from the attacker machine to the victim machine on the FTP server. So is it working or not? Let's check it out. So I'm gonna simply copying this one and I'm gonna paste it over here. So I simply pasted a craw.php file. So in this specific folder, on the specific folder, I'm gonna use FTP server over here on the port 21. So again, it's gonna ask me the password. So I'm gonna put the username anonymous according to my survey and hit enter. So over here we are login, but this is a different platform, so I'm going to use binary over here again. So switching the binary. So and over here, if you see ls-all, we are on the same directory. So transfer the file. I'm going to use a command called put command. So just put craw.php, and over here we can see the permission has been denied. We don't have the permission to put any file on the server side. Do we have a permission to simply use that? Do we have a permission to make directory? Where is make directory? So I'm going to use mkdir. I'm going to use craw sec, and we don't have the permission. If we have the permission of read and write the FTP server, then we can do a lot of other things. But in this case, we don't have the permission. So what I'm going to do, I can see that there's a file called note on the FTP server. So in this scenario, what we can do, we can use our get command. A get command to fetch the file. To get node, and you can see that we have received the file on the server side. So you see the file is over here, the node file. So you will probably have some kind of messages like make sure you update your payload information, leave it in your FTP account once you are done, user John. That's good, nothing. So there are messages between the two clients, Ali and the client, and we doesn't know who are they. There was a simply a node file. Do anyone has a question right now?
No, sir.
So over here, that we can see we have access to the server, but we don't have anything right now. We have port 22 also, but we don't have the username and password to connect with that one. Or either we have some users. We have port 53, which is our DNS domain name. We have port 80 and port 139.666, and we have MySQL server, which is running in the back end of the server. And over here, I can see that, or we don't have anything else. No, but we can see this is a Samba server. See, this is a Samba server, and the machine name is Red, which is a Samba 4.3.9 Ubuntu. Machine name is Red. Name Red Linux X00. Domain name Red. This normal thing, but I can see this is a Samba server. So if we have a Samba server, what we can do, we can use the enumeration part, assembly enumeration. So before that, I'm going to see what other files are available on the server side, locally accessed. So I'm going to use SMB map -h, the IP address, -p, the port number. But if it doesn't specify the port number, it will take the port number 454. But if it's not working, specify the port number 139 according to the open list. Through the assembly map, we can see what other files can be accessible on that specific Samba server. So if you see over here, there's a print directory which has no access. There's a Cathy directory which is read only access. There's a temp directory which has a read and write access. Read and write access is the biggest thing. IPC, which is your Samba, which has no access over here. So what we can do, we can communicate with that server with the help of SMB client as well as data. So -l, the number of list, the IP address, and the -r and the -n. Okay, let's use this one. I'm going to remove this one. Okay, it's not working. So I have to give ask me the password. I don't have the password. And over here we can see that it's showing us there are the same folder. But my main objective was how we can simply access the server. Okay, this -r is not working. So we can communicate with that specific folder with the Cathy or temp. So what we can do, we can simply use our Kali machine also, just like connect to the server. So we can write SMB 192.168.0.109 and hit enter, and we can also communicate with this on. So we have Cathy, prints, and temp in Cathy. Over here, according to the Cathy, we have the read-only permission. So if I hit enter, it asks me with the password and the registration username. So it doesn't know the username, but we can try the anonymous login if it's possible, and we can see, yes, we can communicate with that. We have a backup folder. We have a Cathy stuff. Let's see the backup folder. Over there is a vsft.configuration file. And that configuration file is your FTP server. In this FTP server, if you go down, you can see allow anonymous FTP and this saying yes over there. It's a configuration system. Okay, so this was a normal file, and over here we can see that we have a WordPress file also. So what we can do, we can simply copy this one, or we can simply extract over here. We can't extract over here, but we can copy this one on our folder, and we can see that we can download the file easily on the server side. Let's extract, and I have a folder which I already have over here before this WordPress 4. You can see there is only the configuration file. So it means the website is running a web application server. And let's look for index.php, config.php, loads, wp login. Let's see this one if we can find something. So in the login.php, it's only the configuration files. If I carefully look this one, it's all configuration settings of the server. WP content, plugins, themes, cron, WP login includes. You can see a lot of configuration styles. So it means there should be another website which would be your WP admin. So but before that, I can see in the nmap there was nothing else. There was only port 3306. But in the reality, if there is a port, you can simply put -p to scan the entire port number, -p to scan the entire aggressive scans on the server side. So over here, we can try one by one all these things. As for the data, I can see Catty stuff, and they have a to-do list. I'm making sure you to back up anything important for any tech Cathy. So again, we have a message. Let's check the different Samba server. Now let's see the temp directory. Again, LS. And we can see that I simply put our ls file over there and the part2 file, located it later on. So there was an ls file. If you open this one, you will see the directory of the user, which is just a private def file. But you can see over here, an attacker can simply place a file over there on the server side, a file on the server side, and I can simply write the file, I can simply import the file, and through the assembly client, you can put any of the files on the server side. For example, assembly client /192.168.109 on the directory called temp. Don't ask me the password. ls all. Let's do ls. You can see the craw.php, the craw.php file was there, and the ls file. You can use assembly client same just like your FTP server. Either you can communicate with your connectivity server. But the most important part, you can try enum for Linux to extract the username from the server side. There are many ways you can try. And see over here that we have a hidden port which is 12,380. See, which is an HTTP. And before that, we don't have that port over here because that port was hidden. So that's why you have to check each and every port on the server side. See. And we have a proper page on the server, which was hidden on the port number 12,380. Let's see the source code. And in the source code, you will see, is there any metadata? There are some metadata, but these are simply in HTML formats. And there's nothing else, but all I can see is, yes, there was a folder was hidden. So let's try robot.txt file, if we can find something over here. Robots.txt source code. Okay, it's not reflecting anything over here. So if you remove the 12,000 and check the robot.txt, there will be nothing because the robot.txt is not on the server side. Here we make here for the free download, and it's redirected us to the real website. But the most important part, is to advanced scan. And if you look over here on the enum for Linux, you will see lots of hidden directories. And what I was talking about, if there is a port number 139, there could be a Samba server and some usernames to extract. And this was I was talking about. The username on the server side, which is called Peter, Newmaker, Etron, Diswagger, Paranel, and Shellet. These are the users on the server side. Let's copy this one. And if you go up, you will see the same assembly share animations. Enum for Linux is a tool, but it's a last tool. We can do it, but before that, let's do the manual part. The most important part is to extract all the things which is running in the backend of the specific server, one by one. So over here, I'm going to the CD desktop. Okay, so use a touch command. I'm going to make a folder called user.txt file. And ls, I can see there's a user.txt file, but we have two users, so I'm going to remove this one, rm small user. So let's do the nano part to edit the users. So I simply edit all the users on that specific file. So Control X, Y, Enter. And if I do cat users, I can see the users on the server side, which is true. But there is one problem. And what is that? We have to remove these things one by one. And this one also. So Vishak, how are we going to remove these things?
Using nano editor. Using nano editor.
Using?
Nano editor.
Okay, nano editor.
Yeah.
You are saying use the same one. This one.
Yes, sir.
Nano.
Yeah.
And how am I going to use it? Yes. Which command I'm going to use to remove these things? Should I use the cut command?
No.
So which one? Replace. Search for place with space. Okay, simply removing the diameter of the forward slash. There's a better way. Let me show you. Instead of the editor, I can use short command, or you can say cut command. Let's use some cut commands. Cut command. Next. Okay, geek for geeks. Yes, why not? So I'm going to use cut command over here in the Linux. So cut command uses cutting of the section from each line of the files written in the result for the output. Yeah, we can use that one. And their line called byte position, characters, and field. So we gonna use the cut command plus the options plus the file. So it's showing us cat command to open the files, contain 5 names of the Indian state and capabilities. Okay, so no, sorry. So cut command, cut you must specify list of bytes, characters, or field. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, a byte. What is a byte? To extract the specific bytes, you need to follow -b option, which will list of the byte numbers separated by the comma. Okay. So cut command -b 123 state.txt. Okay. So what will it do? And as you it will simply cut the first 3 letters. Yes, same thing as over here. cut command from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7. So 4 is missing over here. So it basically for bytes, it means it will simply do one character on the cell side. But I'm not going to use this one. I'm not going to use the column also, because I'm going to use the -f, which is called your field. A field is used for fixed length lines. Most Unix files doesn't have fixed length lines to extract the useful information. You need to cut the by field rather than the columns. The list of the fields numbers specified must be separated by the comma. Ranges are not described with the -f cut, so we're going to use the -f command, but we're going to use the delimiter. So let me show you how does it work. So let's see over here. So I'm going to use cut command -d, the delimiter, and the delimiter I'm going to use it for the backslash. So we're going to use the backslash and -f. So I'm going to use the field one command over here. So, and the file name, user.txt. Cut -d, delimiter -i. Let's use the cat command also, guys. Okay, so okay, cat user.txt. Does it using cat command? -d, delimiter -f. So I'm going to use the delimiter, which is a backslash, and the file name .txt. Why is not taking the user? Do we have a cut command? Yes, we have a cut command. So cut command -d. Before that, yes, use cat user.txt. So I'm going to use the cut command -d, the delimiter. That was backslash the field one or the field two. It's not. Why is not fetching the file? Let's do the cat delimiter -f. One. Again, the same problem. Now it's making me mad. I was using double string over there. Sorry. As per over here, they're also using double string. So if you see, if I use a double string, it was simply just going to the string values. So if I use a single quote, So let's complete the field 2. I can see that the user from that specifier has been cleared. And again, if I use the cut command, I should be delimiter with the space on the field 1, which is your field 1 from here to here. And if I see, we have a proper path. So we can save this file on the stepler.txt file on the root, and the file hasn't saved. If you see ls, you can see the files on there. To the cut command, it took me not much of time. Simply, you can see. So it's a little bit of bash command, you could say. Stepler.txt. We have Peter normal files on server side now, and we can see over here also the stepler. So what are these things? These were the usernames of that local servers. These were the users on the local server. So what we can do, we can try brute force attack on the port 22. Why? Because if these are the usernames, if these are the local users on the server side, if these are the local users on the server side, it will have some users to which can be login. For that case, I'm going to perform a brute force attack, and for that case, I'm going to use a brute force attack with the help of Hydra, Kali, Linux. You can say tutorial, you can say PDF, whatever things you want. It will show you how to crack online passwords with the temper data with the TMC Hydra, crack web-based login page, or we can simply use Hydra, Kali Linux, SSH. So you can see where SSH password testing with Hydra on Kali Linux, or you can see the Pro Nullbyte is one of the best websites for Hydra tool. So Hydra is basically used to simply brute force attack on the server side on any of the protocols. You can use it for this attack. And over here, we're gonna use the simple attack. For that case, we're gonna use the CLI version of Hydra. So, or you can see over here also, Hydra -l root -p admin on threads 4 SSH port number. Okay, so L means flag data single username parameter. -p flag means single password parameter. So they have given using word list also. You can simply use crunch command to make your own word list files. So 4x4, the word you want to use, ABCDEF, I don't know, and the password. So we don't need a word list because we already have the word list. So what we're gonna do over here, I'm gonna use the CD desktop. So we're gonna use this for file text. So we're gonna use Hydra. So over here, there was a specify small and capital L. So let me define you. When you know the username, you can use the small L. And if you know the password, you can use the small p for the password to set. But if you doesn't know the username and password, you can use the capital L to place a file or a word list on the specific parameter with the login parameter and capital P for the file on the password parameter. So if you see over here, the example also given in the back and below. But we're gonna use it for SSH protocol to attack. So the command would be Hydra -l, the root user, desktop, the same dictionary I'm gonna use on the same one. So root, desktop, stepler, and I'm going to use the server IP address on the 109, and that was SSH. So the command is simple. So it depends which protocol you're going to attack first. So I'm going to use Hydra -L to specify a word list on the login parameter, capital P on the password of the password parameter, and the server IP address, and the protocol that we're going to use for brute force. So if you hit enter, it will take some time according to your server speed and your network connectivity. But over here, we can use this one on the FTP server. Why I'm using FTP? Because on the server side, there was an FTP server also. So either you can use it for SSH, but if we brute force on the SSH connection, we can simply use it for brute force attack. So it's attacking on the port number, and we have output. Let's use FTP server over here also. So as you can see, the username of SSH is Shellet, which is working on the port number 22. But over here, if you say the misconfiguration of attack, if you are simply brute forcing performing a brute force attack on any of the parameter, or you can say the protocol, it should be temporarily blocked or simply block you for a limited period of time. The number of attempts should be there to connect with that specific port. And you can see on the FTP server, there's also showing up the user Shellet. But before that, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use any FTP or that. So if you want to use the FTP server, all you can do with the IP address 109.421 and username Shellet, password Shellet, and we are on the server side. Now you can see that we have a proper different directory. And this directory is known as etc configuration files. etc configuration file. You can see LSB release over here. See LSB release. So if I do cat command, invalid command. So we can use get command to fetch the file. And we can see we can receive the files on the server side. Let's see the file over there. LSB release, and you can see the server is using an Ubuntu server, plus the version is 16.04. And this is so we are on the server etc directory. But what are we gonna do? We can communicate with SSH, I guess. So I'm gonna use SSH @ the IP address and the port number. I guess I don't specify the port number with the 22. Like, so we are on the server side. You can see on red over here. So let's see ls all, and we are on the Shellet directory. And we can see that user Shellet may not run sudo on red. So it means we don't have the permission over there. So what we can do, we can find something relevant data as per the post-exploitation phase. Now it's come the post-exploitation phase. So for that, I told you 2 websites. So the very first one is your Gottmik. The Gottmik and the Fire2 are one of the best websites for doing post-exploitation phase on Linux operating system. But if you're performing in Windows, there are other websites over there. For example, This machine also vulnerable to the kernel version, but you should know about that one. Which machine is vulnerable to whom? So either you can use the distribution type, or either you can use the kernel version, or simply in PI2 you can check the very first one, kernel exploitation part. So if you cd etc lsfnl cat lsb release, and you can see the release version, which is your 1604. And if I say uname -a to check the kernel version, I can see the kernel version, which is 14.404. So I simply went to the temp directory. So let's see if we can find any vulnerability according to 1604. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look for Ubuntu 16.04 exploit. So let's use any of this one. Over here we have 4.4.0 kernel version plus the Ubuntu version is 16.04. Double FT put. Okay, what is this? Yeah, we can use this one. Remember one thing: the kernel version and the release version should be matched. Otherwise, it will not work. So you will have to search all these things one by one. So you can see over here, this is the kernel version, and this was an exploit. The problem is when the caller supplies a file descriptor number referring. So you can read the kernel exploit. The attacker should rely to be able to determine whether a newly allocated structured file on the server side. And they have given you the exploits to get. And they have given the proof of concept plus the GitHub script. So copy this one, let's go here, and we can download this one over here. So let me check. Okay, over here. So next up, let's put it. I'm gonna put it over here. I'm gonna share this file over there. So we can use the Python command to share the Python server. So Python -m simple. I'm gonna use the HTTP server, and it's working on the port number 8000. So we simply create an FTP server on the exploit directory, only the exploit directory. So and I simply open a port on my 102, which is 8000. So let's do a wget command, HTTP 192.168. You have to specify the full path 102, and that was port 8000, and the file was 937. What was the file name? The file name was 39772. Okay, 39772.zip. And you can see we have to specify the full path. When you simply fetch the file from the URL, you will see that the file on 109 has been accepted, which is 200 over there. So LSMNall. So this is a zip file. Let's do unzip 3972 zip. You can see the file has been done. So we have a folder 39 lsfnall. We can see crusher.tr and exploit.tr. So as per the data over here, we have to use exploit.tr, which is a tar file. So this is a tar extension, an exploit that puts all together in an exploit.tr file. So we're going to use tar xf and exploit directory. So there's a compile.sh. According to the C, you will see compile. You have to compile the file. When you compile the file, it will make a file called double put. So compile.sh, warning. Okay, this is not a big thing. Let's do double put, and we are starting the overwrite. So got pointer use, and in a second or in a minute, we will have a root shell. If it works, you will have a root shell in just 60 seconds. So it's all about information gathering, and we are not a developer. Who can simply write their own codes or their own exploits. But we know which exploit can we use because there are lots of exploits in public.
Okay.
And we have a root shell. So we have a root. So the main objective of this machine was to get the root access and read the final flag.txt. But this is not a fun flag.txt. It's all about information gathering and how an attacker simply gain unauthorized access on the server side.
Okay.